This fighter jet was meant to be the one to take over the world. Born in the Soviet Union, it was designed to be a multi-role fighter, meant not only to match the West, but to overcome them entirely. It could fly at Mach 2.35. Its range exceeded 1,500 kilometers, depending on the variant. It had a massive R-29 turbojet engine producing more than 28,000 pounds of thrust. It carried some of the USSR's first true BVR missiles, the R-23 and later the R-24 series. Its radar, the Safir-23, was the most advanced ever fitted to a Soviet fighter at the time. It could dogfight, intercept, strike, ground targets, fire rockets, bombs, guided missiles, everything the Soviet Air Force dreamed of, and the Soviets built it in huge numbers. More than 5,000 rolled off the production lines, making it one of the most produced fighters of the Cold War. It was exported everywhere: East Germany, Syria, Iraq, Libya, Poland, Cuba, India. Dozens of nations operated it. So how on earth did this aircraft end up being regarded as a failure? Why do so many pilots call it the worst Soviet fighter of its era? Let's go back. To understand why the MiG-23 failed, we need to understand what the Soviets were desperately trying to solve, the problem the MiG-23 was meant to fix. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, the MiG-21 ruled Soviet skies. It was fast, cheap, simple, but had one giant problem. It couldn't carry enough fuel. Soviet fighters had excellent speed, but terrible range. They couldn't escort bombers, couldn't stay airborne for long, and struggled to intercept high-altitude threats before running dry. By the mid-1960s, NATO fighters were advancing quickly. Radar was improving, missiles were improving, and the Soviets needed something new, something with better range, better radar, and true multi-role capability. Mikoyan was tasked with building a fighter that could solve everything. And so came the idea that would define the MiG-23: variable sweep wings. At high speed, they swept back for minimum drag. At low speed, they extended forward for better lift and shorter takeoff distance. In theory, brilliant. In practice, it opened the door to the MiG-23's biggest problems. Even though it was advanced for its time, everything came with a cost, and the costs kept piling up. 1. The variable sweep wings were heavy and maintenance intensive. The mechanism added huge weight and required constant adjustment. For a country that favored simple, rugged designs, the MiG-23 became a nightmare to maintain. 2. The R-29 engine was powerful, but dangerously unreliable. It produced massive thrusts, but suffered frequent flameouts. Pilots even nicknamed it a flying grenade. 3. The cockpit design was awful. Pilots complained about terrible rear visibility, cramped controls, and a layout that made dogfighting extremely difficult. 4. Handling was unpredictable. The aircraft could go from stable to deadly in seconds. Its high wing loading and sharp stall behavior made it infamous for killing inexperienced pilots. In many countries, the MiG-23 gained a reputation as the aircraft that crashed even without combat. Combat performance where everything collapsed. The MiG-23 didn't just struggle in training. When it entered real combat, the results were devastating. Middle East, 1970s to 1980s. Syrian and Iraqi MiG-23s faced Israeli 15s and F-16s. The score? Dozens shot down and 0 confirmed kills in return. Its radar was easily jammed. Its missiles struggled to hit targets, and it couldn't dogfight with Western jets. Libya, 1980s. Libyan MiG-23s sent against American 14s over the Gulf of Sidra were destroyed within seconds. Iran-Iraq War. Even Iraqi pilots who operated some of the most upgraded variants preferred older MiG-21s because they trusted them more. Angola and Southern Africa. Cuban-flown MiG-23s had mixed success and often lost fights to South African Mirage F1s. The pattern was clear: amazing on paper, terrible in reality.